All right, is history repeating itself? So there's warning signs of another depression. So hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the topic that might make some of you nervous. It's the current major economic downturn. Today we're going to be exploring some eerie similarities between the current economic climate and a period leading up to the Great Depression of 1929. Now before you panic, let's take a deep breath and analyze the situation. The goal here is to be informed and prepared, not to spread fear. So let's start with some key factors that raise concerns for everyone. Fake abundance, right? So back in the Roaring Twenties, this was a period of booming economic growth fueled by debt. We see echoes of that in recent years with low interest rates leading to increased borrowing and spending. But this temporary growth can't last forever. Another thing, inflation's on the rise. So inflation, the rising cost of goods and services, is becoming a major headache to people. It's eating away at consumer spending power just like it did in the late 1970s. Remember in the 70s, if you're old enough, inflation was crazy high back then, just like it is today. Another thing we need to check out, the Fed's Balancing Act. So the Federal Reserve can raise interest rates to kind of combat that inflation, but this could slow down the economic growth. Lowering them could make inflation even worse. It's really a tricky situation right now. Our economy is kind of like a house built on credit cards. People are spending more and more, but not necessarily because they're earning more. This fake growth can't last forever. The Fed is raising interest rates, but so far it hasn't been enough to stop inflation or even slow down spending. Why do you say? Well, because people are still borrowing money to keep things going. Okay, let's flash back to 2008. So remember the 2008 financial crisis? That's what could happen again if the Fed can't control inflation. So let's look at inflation versus slowdown. So back in the 70s, we had high inflation along with a slow economy. This makes things tricky for the Fed. Raising rates fights inflation, but it can also slow down the economy even more. So that's where everything gets a little tricky. The other thing, consumer debt is at a record high, so people are carrying more debt than ever before. So when the music stops and they can't pay their bills, that's a recipe for disaster. And this spending spree can't go on forever. When people finally run out of savings and credit, that's when things are going to get scary. Now, we could be headed for an even worse recession than we are currently in, or even worse, we could get into a depression. Now, here's why. Companies feel the pinch. So when people stop spending, companies make less money, and this leads to layoffs. And companies have to cut costs, so they lay off workers. We got more debt and less spending. Now, even more people out of money, creating a vicious cycle. Then you've got declining savings rates. Imagine a rainy day. An umbrella protects you from rain, right? But savings are like your financial umbrella, a safety net that shields you from the economic storms that come about. But here's the problem. The savings rate, which is the percentage of income people save, is at a rock bottom low right now. This means many people have little to no umbrella for when the economic rain starts pouring down on them. So you might be asking, okay, why does savings matter? Okay, well, unexpected expenses. Life throws a lot of curveballs. Believe me, I know, because I've had a lot of them. You've got car repairs. I've had a ton of medical bills the last few years. Job loss. These can all leave you scrambling without any savings. Then opportunities. So savings opens doors like a down payment on a house or starting a business or going back to school. They're all easier with a financial cushion. But if you don't have a cushion, you can't do any of those things. Then you've got peace of mind. Knowing you have the safety net reduces your stress and allows you to weather economic downturns without panicking. So you might be asking, why are savings rates low? Well, there's a few reasons for that. It's called debt, and more debt, right? People are carrying more debt than ever before, leaving less money for savings. Then you've got stagnant wages. So wages haven't kept pace with the cost of living, making it harder to save or people to afford daily necessities. Then you've got temptation nation, easy access to credit and a culture of instant gratification discourages saving. The dangers of low savings are abundant. When savings are low, people are more vulnerable to financial stress. They live paycheck to paycheck, and it can lead to just really poor financial decisions. And then you have debt traps. Struggling to make ends meet often leads to more debt, which creates a vicious cycle. And then you can have economic hardships. A recession or job loss can be devastating without a financial safety net. The bottom line is building a healthy savings habit is going to be crucial for financial security. Even small amounts saved consistently can make a big difference. So if you don't have anything saved now, you should be saving if you can. I know it's tough. Then you've got the job market cracks. While headline numbers might look good, a closer look reveals a trend towards more part-time jobs replacing full-time positions. This mirrors what happened before in the past recessions. And then you've all heard of the troubled banks recently. Remember the bank runs of 1929? I mean, I don't. I wasn't alive back then, but it did happen back then. So recent bank collapses and the ongoing commercial real estate debt crisis raises concerns about the financial sector's stability. So the worry about troubled banks stirs memories of the Great Depression, triggered by the catastrophic bank runs of the 1929. Back then, a lack of confidence in the banking system led to depositors rushing to withdraw their money, causing banks to fail like dominoes. This financial meltdown deepened the Depression's severity. Now, today's concerns, the recent bank failures we just talked about, while not as widespread as 1929, there have been bank failures in recent years as highlighted by the FDIC's list. These serve as a stark reminder that bank health can be really fragile. Then you've got the commercial real estate debt crisis. And this refers to the situation where many banks hold loans on commercial properties, office buildings, shopping malls, that are now worth less than the loan amount. And if property values continue to decline, banks could face significant losses impacting their financial stability. So extending loans might not be enough, right? Banks are sometimes extending loans, giving borrowers more time to repay. Now, while this might provide temporary relief, it doesn't address the underlying problems. If borrowers are still struggling, simply delaying the inevitable default could worsen the situation in the long run. So the bottom line is the current situation with troubled banks and the commercial real estate debt is a cause for concern. While it's unlikely to mirror the devastation of the 1929 Great Depression due to regulations and the FDIC's deposit insurance, it could still lead to bank failures and economic instability. You also have the high stock market valuations. So the stock market has been on a tear recently, but just like in 1929, the CAPE ratio, a measure of the stock's price compared to its earnings, is flashing red, and this could signal a future crash. Now, I know this is a lot to take in, but remember, knowledge is power. By understanding these historical parallels, we can become more vigilant and make informed decisions about our finances. So if you can, in the comments below, let's discuss this. What steps do you think we can take to prepare for potential economic challenges? And if you found this video helpful, just give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe for more videos on wealth building, real estate, and making money. Let us know your thoughts in the comments.